Hello, everyone. It's Triple Z Hacker here, back with some Shogun 2 Total War multiplayer battles. This is a battle replay of a match made battle with my secondary avatar, which is a lower level. He's currently about rank 4 bronze, I believe. And we're on the map Foothills. There are 3 key buildings, as always: the Archery Dojo, the Sword Dojo, and the Farmhouse. The army I brought is just some swords and cav, really, pretty much, along with some supporting spears and 1 missile unit. So I have 3 Yari cav, some fire cav. I got some Daikyu Samurai as my missile unit, really good archery units. Then I have some long Yari Ashigaru along with some Yari Ashigaru and Yari Samurai as my spears. Again, Yari Samurai really good at capturing key buildings. Long Yari Ashigaru really good at bonus versus cavalry, and they have some good stats if you upgrade them enough. Yari Ashigaru, of course, just cheap fodder unit. Yari Wall is always a plus. For my swords, I have 3 Lone Sword Ashigaru that are low ranked, a little bit cheaper than katanas and more men, so hopefully they can do damage. And typically, eventually, if you upgrade them enough, they can be pretty potent. And then I have some Katana Samurai just for the armor and the morale. And then I have my general. My opponent brought an army that is I constantly see from time to time, and it is basically a Yari Samurai spam. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Yari Samurai, and then 2 Grey Guard in general. And these Yari Samurai are all veterans, so except for 1. Or 2, excuse me. But the rest are veterans. And then the 2 Great Guards are pretty good veterans as well. Or let's see, it's a Great Guard and Yari Cav. Sorry, just a Great Guard and Yari Cav. So didn't even bring 2 Great Guards, which if you're going to bring Great Guards, you should bring 2 because that's the max, and you really want to take advantage of the retainer you have to use to bring them. Anyways, let's get this battle started. My whole strategy consisted of really trying to take the Sword Dojo because I know that my sword units can cut through those Yari Samurai if possible, but there is a lot of them. In the meantime, I send my Daikyu Samurai up here on this ridge, pretty much just to overlook this entire area and have missile superiority against my opponents, since I don't see them having any missile units. Of course, my opponent flexes out this cavalry over on to my left flank, and pretty much I counteract by bringing my cavalry out of hiding to meet them on the left flank. I have 4 units and my opponent has 2, so I like my chances in terms of winning the cavalry engagement over there. And then of course I send my Yari Samurai over here to immediately try to capture the Sword Dojo, and I just move the rest of my units with my main army, pretty much just trying to keep my forces consolidated on this hill until I see what my opponent decides to do. My opponent brings this cav over here, and I think they intended to hide them in the trees. I really don't know what they were doing with them, but just left them here in a bad position. I mean, they don't really have the terrain advantage being downhill, things like that. So I send the Yari Ashigaru unit over here too, just to maybe see if I can just get spears involved in this fight as well. Over here you can see that my opponent has a bow general, so they get a few volleys on my Yari Samurai here, but luckily I'm still capturing this building even though there's some Yari Samurai, my opponent's in the vicinity. So I counteract with some swords, and pretty much I think, alright, I can just, cut through those Yari Samurai if need be. Oh, and of course over here I charged with my cav and just murdered my opponent's cavalry, that caught them off guard and got a good charge in. Of course I Great Guard home for a while, but there's a little action there. So I got hit with whistling arrows, but I moved these swords in and pretty much get ready for the engagement there. I win the cavalry engagement over there. So then I start bringing my cav over, as you can see. Let's watch this charge right here. Ooh. Pretty much just a huge line establishes here. all this Yari Samurai up against this cliff, which I'm assuming is so that they can't get flanked by hammer and anvil. But me being the person who loves using cavalry so much, I find a way to try to basically hit my opponent in the rear, but they do a really good job here of covering this flank with some spears. So yeah, it's really tricky, but I split my cavalry forces up in two, and I basically make a silly mistake of sacrificing one of them just to get through those spears. But my swords are able to win on the right flank, and so I bring them in to help these swords, which are losing because they're heavily outnumbered. Even though Shogun 2 is rock, paper, scissors, this happens from time to time. And the biggest mistake I made was not having my spears support my swords in this engagement, and not having my cav doing that as well. I should have been more patient with my attack. Well, I'm able to get my cavalry in here and there as well, but unfortunately these Yari Samurai have already beaten most of these sword units that they can turn and face this cav. But I am able to trap my opponent's general's bodyguard, which is really helpful for the sake of the battle. And I send my long Yaris in too, hoping to win this, and I really should have pulled out my cav here. They really just ended up getting stuck fighting spears, which is just not helpful. I still have my Daikyu Samurai though, but it's not looking too good for me right now because my lone swords are routing and most of my other units aren't doing so well. My cavalry is kind of scattered. I mean, some of them are chasing after my opponent's general, but it looks like they've scattered at this point. Yeah, these Yari Samurai just end up doing a number on my long Yari Ashigaru, even though they're in Yari Wall. There's just so many of them, and with the stats that they have and being veterans, it's tricky. But in the meantime, I sent some Yari Ashigaru after my opponent's bodyguard, and now basically we're in full retreat. Get the Daikyus back and get the lone swords back, and same with the Katana Samurai because there's no way I can fight all of them. The long Yari Ashigaru are still holding out for now, but they're kind of surrounded by two units and they're routing as well. My opponent's a higher rank than me, so their rallies and units probably have better stats. My general isn't the full leadership general that I typically bring yet. Anyways, those Yari Ashigaru start to rout too, and pretty much my army is getting scattered. I bring my Daikyus and my swords just over to this hill. Really need to get them out of the battlefield as much as I can and to regroup over here and give the Daikyus a chance to put some volleys in. My katanas basically run this way. I bring my general over here to go fight my opponent's general and of course pop a rally to get these Katana Samurai back. I really need these guys, and they're able to fight some of the Yari Samurai some more. And yeah, of course, just we need to get up this hill, keep these units alive. These lone swords start to these lone sword Ashigaru start to rout, so I just send them in to protect my Daikyus. I need my Daikyus alive. And of course, my opponent starts bringing this unit away was a big mistake because my katanas are kind of able to win that. They're still hurt, but they start retreating, but now both these units are breaking. And then, of course, hitting my opponent's bodyguard. I mean, just a silly mistake by my opponent, allowing his bodyguard to get killed. I mean, allowed my katanas to stay alive in time and really hurt the morale of his troops over here as well. As my Yari Ashigaru are able to kind of get some to rout. And my Daikyu Samurai, I'm just going to keep running them. I got to keep them alive as long as possible. Meanwhile, my Katana Samurai just remain at the archery dojo here. They're really fatigued, so I don't want to run them anymore. And I'm just going to keep them there for now. My long Yari's finally rout, but my general, isn't able to aid them in time. But I kind of just bring them over maybe to scare some of my opponent's units. And my Daikyu Samurai just keep running. I just send them off towards the map as much as I can. Interestingly enough, these Yari Samurai are kind of routing, but that's because they're fatigued and their general's dead. So I send my general over here with these katanas because I figure if I can at least pop a rally or, support these katanas in some way to keep them from wavering, they can win me the battle by cutting through the rest of these units. But it's looking more bleak as the battle progresses. My Daikyus, though, are somehow managing to, even though being exhausted, outrun these Yari Samurai and maintain the morale, which is really impressive. So yeah, these Yari Samurai charge this katana, and this katana goes in here, and I pretty much try to get my general over here to get a charge in on this Yari Samurai just to route them as soon as I possibly can. And luckily my katanas stay around just long enough for them to stay there. And at the same time, I'm able to send them in this way to attack the next unit and try to do the same tactic with my general. Unfortunately, there's not really so much room, but I at least get a rally off with them, which is really good. And I bring my general over, and sadly they rout, but I'm able to rout one of his units, and then the second unit's fights for a little longer as well, which my general starts taking some damage, but I kind of do some pull-throughs and eventually get them to rout. So now all that's left is my Daikyu Samurai and my general fighting 2 Yari Samurai. My Daikyu Samurai are booking it. They are running for their lives to the edge of the map. I mean, unbelievably so. And at this point, I think my opponent told me, "You lost." And I pretty much was like, like they typed it in the chat or whatever. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure the battle's still going on. You know, I saw my general and I saw my Daikyus, and yeah, I'm getting hunted down here. Somehow my Daikyu Samurai are able just to outrun, and I was able to correctly pathfind them and send them on the right direction. Meanwhile, my general's making his way over to at least assist in some way. I mean, I'm hoping since my opponent's general is dead that these Yari Samurai are kind of waver, but they're getting really tired too, just chasing my Daikyus. And when units have a lot of fatigue, their morale begins to waver a lot more easily. So pretty much these Daikyu Samurai are able just to outrun as much as they can, even though these ones finally got a rapid advance. But still, even with the rapid advance, they haven't caught the Daikyu Samurai yet. And I'm trying my best to get my general over. He's getting fatigued too. This battle has been going on for so long. They're so drained. So as you can see, just straight running, like straight cowardly running right here. I eventually turn them around because I figure I can at least route this unit if I get a fire arrow volley off for morale's sake, and then I pretty much keep them in melee and I charge in with my general to just, again, trying to win based off morale. And lo and behold, they start running pretty much, or they start wavering, and the next one comes in, and my Daikyus are still holding on barely. It's not looking good. I bring my general around again, and my Daikyus now are wavering, but I bring them around again. This is again, desperate last attempt, charge into the fray. My Daikyus run away, but I pop off a rally, and that Yari Samurai routes, and my general loses some of his men, but luckily my general is still alive himself, and I just start running, and they rout. They rout with 67 men left because they're regular Yari Samurai and the general's dead, and the rally got him. Yeah, like I said, always in Shogun 2, morale is the most important thing, and if you lose your general, don't expect your units to continue fighting as much as they should. And there are a ton of ways to basically, I wouldn't say exploit, but take advantage of how morale works in this game in order to defeat your opponents. Anyways, I hope you guys liked that crazy battle I had for you today. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and check out more content. I have more Shogun 2 as well as Medieval 2 coming along the way, and I am troubleshooting right now to get you guys some Total War Troy videos. So anyways, thank you so much for watching, and take care.